Tuko tayari? Felix, it has to be you. Ready? Thank you very much for coming at a very short notice. And welcome to the Ministry of Investments, Trade and Industry. I have my advisory team with me here, Dr. Peter Mbaye, Jody Ladodo, and Gordon Mutugi. So this is going to be a continuous engagement with you on a monthly basis. So that's what we are calling our Biashara monthly updates, so that we keep you and through you, the public, updated on what we are doing in terms of reviving the economy. So we're going to have this forum on a monthly basis, and I hope that in the one for February, this being the one for January, we'll be able to also invite panelists who can also help you and to help the country to unravel through the various economic issues, and also an audience, and also to invite my other colleagues in government, because the issue of reviving the economy is not an issue of one ministry. My ministry is only taking a leading and coordinating role in terms of the sector that is we call the financial and production sector, where the bulk of the issues for reviving the economy are domiciled. Today, for this month, I just want to focus on two issues only. One is on the issue of education sector and how that is impacting the economy and what you can expect going forward. And the second issue is on the issue of dumping. And I'll get to the details of those two issues. So on the issue of education, I just want to focus on three things. One, I had a lengthy discussion yesterday with the PS for Education, Dr. Berio Kipsang, and my colleague, Cabinet Secretary Ezekiel Machogu for Education, on the issue of school uniforms. So the Ministry of Education has been very categorical that our schools have got no business selling uniforms. Our teachers need to focus on academia and helping our children to transition to CBC and other objectives that the ministry has set. The ministry has sent a circular. And as a matter of fact, the ministry will send another circular today to the schools that our parents have got absolute freedom and discretion on where to buy a uniform. You will wonder now, why are we mixing the issue of education with the issue of school uniform? This is because what is happening now is that some few people who have been enjoying this space of selling school uniforms, 3, 4, 5, a handful of distributors or manufacturers are colluding with our schools. So when you hear that a school is selling uniform, ask them, where are the sewing machines? How are your tailors? Who is being employed from this school? You know very well, we have got 40,000 schools in the country, 30,000 primary schools, and around 10,000 secondary schools, with a student population of close to 14 million. So this is a huge market. And myself being the Minister for Investment, Trade and Industry, I view this as customers. So I view this as one major way to awaken our sleeping economy. So I want to encourage everyone out there to get in touch with the banks, the schools, the parents, And we want to encourage our people there to make uniforms for our schools. Our schools are not going to be used as conduits by those people who are used to having it very easy, so that we can have the same people who are supplying me with uniform when I was in class 1 back in 1977. And now, 46 years down the line, they are the same people who want to continue with that system. It is unacceptable and it's unsustainable. So we have agreed as government that school uniform is a liberalized business. It is going to create thousands and thousands, if not 10,000s, if not hundreds of thousands of jobs to our people at the bottom of the pyramid to be able to earn a living. It is better to have more people at the bottom of the pyramid making uniforms than to have 2, 3, or 4 handful of people doing that business. And we believe that will substantially contribute to awakening our economy. And actually, we talk about inclusion. We talk about the bottom up. The bottom up is starting with school uniform. We want to give those opportunity to people out there to take advantage and actually make these uniforms. That is number 1. 2, we have agreed with the Cabinet Secretary Machogu that we will review our textbook policy again. Again, not because of the content of those textbooks, but because the structure that is present now, again, is encouraging cartels at the expense of businesses at the bottom of the pyramid. Again, I reiterate, this is a bottom-up government, and we need to get used to that. And my role is to ensure that the opportunities we have in this economy actually percolate down and they are cascaded to the bottom of the pyramid. So we will work together with my counterpart, Ezekiel Machogu, to review the textbook policy, to ensure that those bookstores and those people who are down there, of course, subject to sufficient controls and measures to ensure that it is not abused again. But we don't want to kill businesses. We are not going to use our uniform policy to kill businesses. We are not going to use our textbook policy to kill businesses. We want Kenyans to work, to trade, to manufacture, to produce, and to re-own their economy. That is the second issue I have to say about the education. The third one is on our universities. As you know, our universities are all in terrible shape. They are all in debt. They are not going concerns anymore. The race that we had to have more and more universities, that now is catching up with us. The other government tried by, regulating the number of students who go in there. Then we toyed around with the idea of scholarships for purposes of private students. And business and economics has got rules. You can only bend them to some point. And now I think the system has been stress tested up to the limit and it's snapping. So we have two options. We continue hiding our head in the sand like the proverbial ostrich, or we face the reality. And the reality is we have to privatize some of our universities. And I am talking to investors, international investors, who are willing and ready to come and partner with our universities to privatize some of the universities. I'm not saying all. So Ministry of Education and my ministry will work together, establish what is the actual demand of our university education for local market. The other day, we were having a meeting with the president and the team from Indonesia, and we were telling them, thank you for giving us scholarship. They told us something profound, and which I'm hearing everywhere I go. It is us who need scholarships to come and study in your universities because they are simply the best. To come, your education system is good. So sometimes we beat ourselves too hard, but others see good things in us. Just go some few kilometers from here, go to USIU. It's full of international students. We want to match countries like the US in terms of being the center of excellence for international education. So all these universities that we have invested in, if we do nothing and we think that they're only going to attract local students, then that will be a wasted investment. and wasted capital. But we are going to convert that into some magic that is going again to spur the economy by attracting international universities to come and partner with local universities and run our universities profitably. So I want to say this. I know my colleague, Cabinet Secretary for National Treasury, is inundated with the request for budgetary support for universities. We have agreed with him that when universities go to him, he will send them my way and ask me, do you have a partner who can partner with Egerton University, with Moi University, probably some American universities, some European universities, some Malaysian universities, some Dubai universities, to come and partner with whoever cannot manage their universities profitably. And this is going to be a double benefit for the country. One, we stop this hemorrhage of resources in our universities. Two, we want to bring in partners in our university education who can be able to do aggressive marketing of Kenya as a destination for higher education. I don't know why people are struggling to go to Malaysia, why people are struggling to go to India, to go to the US. People are fainting at some of the embassies, like the US embassy, looking for visas. I want to see long queues in our embassies in Jakarta and somewhere else for people queuing because they have been admitted to University of Stanford at Moi University, Eldoret. Yeah? It's because we have done this investment. It's a wasted investment. And by the way, these universities are also sitting on a lot of land for which I'm talking to investors so that we can convert that land for productive use in agriculture and affordable housing. So we are going to work with education, and university education need not be a drain or a burden to the economy. It can be used productively so that you can be able to take this economy forward. Finally, on my second topic, on the issue of dumping. You recall that on the first week of December or the last week of November, we went to Samburu, Kwale County, with the president when we commissioned the Devki Integrated Steel Mill. And I did announce in that lounge that we are going, now that we have got local capacity through people like Devki and others, we will be imposing a levy, which we are calling the Export and Investment Promotion Levy, which will be imposed on those products which we are importing for which we have local capacity. Because every time we import things for which we have local capacity, we are frustrating ourselves because our children cannot get jobs in our industries. When we see people being unemployed, our unemployment rate being high, it is not witchcraft. It is because of we stopped producing. We frustrated manufacturing. Our manufacturing has shrunk from 9% to 7% of GDP. And it is my objective that I've been given as a target by the president that by 2027 I must raise that to 15% and going to 20% by the year 2030. I mean to do exactly that. And those people who are used to seeking for exemption, cutting corners, seeing this person in the corner, this ministry is not available for those games anymore. And I'm seeking for the support of Kenyans and the support of you guys, especially for the state, so that we do something different. They say that insanity is doing the same thing again and again and expecting different results. When we import everything from out there, which we can make here, where do you expect our graduates to get jobs? They are your brothers, they are your sisters. So are we going to continue working for some few people who are enjoying it? So Cabinet has approved on a preliminary basis this move. We are going to start seeing some items slapped with some serious levies so that we are able to protect our industry and to encourage those people who are investing here. So we are going to start with steel products in the coming few days. Public participation is already underway to impose levies on wire rods and billets. And by the way, let me shock you, because the other problem of this importation is not just jobs and local taxes. It is also the pressure on the Kenyan shilling, the foreign exchange. Because when we import, we don't import in shillings. We import in dollars. This market, you've seen the cries of people saying there's no dollar in the market. Where do you expect dollars to be when we are using those scarce foreign exchange resources to import things and transfer those dollars to other countries who don't even need it? When we announced this, I got data from KRA in the month of December alone, or since the announcement, since I made the announcement, the importation of billets, one product, it spiked. There was a spike. In the 5 weeks since the announcement, up to end of up to the first week of January, we imported billets, just one product, worth 18 billion Kenya shillings. Meaning these people are now, they knew that I have announced that the 1st of January I was to put this levy, so they are now stockpiling the billets. That's frustrating us. This will not happen. And I'm saying this clearly and categorically because the country has to choose. We fix this economy, we create jobs for our children, we relieve the pressure on the shilling, or we continue doing the same thing again and again and expecting that through magic or something will happen. So we are putting this levy, the export and investment promotion levy, on the imports to discourage imports of things that can be done here to protect our industry, to protect manufacturing. More so, the proceeds of this levy are going to be used to invest in areas where we feel we need to help or to work with the private sector more, like green energy, like in our water provision, water desalination, in terms of our expansion of our ports and airports. You know, we have in terms of creating the digital economy. So we have got areas which can benefit from this levy if people still insist on continuing to import. But more so, we are going to use this levy also to promote our exports. This year, our budget for export promotion is a measly 46 million shillings. I have only 18 trade attaches who are supposed to promote Kenyan export. We are now very happy because through this levy, we can open commercial offices all over the world, by the way, independent of our normal embassy system, so that we can have, we want by end of 2023 to have commercial offices in 50 cities in the world. And each of these cities, we are not only going to have commercial offices, we are also going to have export warehouses, so that even that person, and yesterday we talked about aggregation centers. We are going to have aggregation center in every county. We pick the product, put them into the aggregation centers, then open the export warehouses abroad, so that it is possible for you to export avocados to Dubai and you don't have a passport. You don't need to travel, because your county aggregation center is going to use technology to package, to give you your reference number, to use RFID technology. That comes from there. And we are working with international companies like DHL to lift them from our aggregation centers, aggregate them, dispatch them to our export markets, whereby now they will be sold out there. And if you are an exporter, the only thing you receive is a text message saying your avocados consignment number 1234 has been sold in Kinshasa, DRC, to customer X. Your money is waiting for you at Family Bank or Cooperative Bank or where it is. So that we also hold the hands of our people and make it possible for them to participate in this value chain of trade and export. So right now, it is only a few people who can export. We have this company doing vegetables. That company, tell me, when is the sale of that vegetable going to reach to the common person? So we need your help, you need your support on this levy, because not only is it going to discourage the importation, encourage manufacturing, grow our jobs, grow our taxes, but it's also going to give us the revenue we need specifically to be able to grow our export and have an inclusive growth of our export to ensure that even that guy in my village who has no passport, has never traveled, is able to participate in the export market. Ni hayo tu kwa sasa. Yes.
My name is Brenda. Is that a video from KTN News? I have 3 questions on education. One, kindly let us know which universities the government plans to privatize. Then 2, have you involved education stakeholders in this process of privatizing these universities? And then when will this happen?
Thank you, Brenda. Let me say, first of all, we are at the beginning of this particular exercise. If you look at your newspapers today, I don't know which one, you'll find we have published the Privatization Act bill, the revised privatization bill. Universities are state corporations. This privatization bill, which we have published today, the National Treasury has published, is going to make it possible to privatize any public institution, including state corporations like universities. So, involving the stakeholders, let them now get involved, because that's exactly, we have published a schedule of public participation, which is starting immediately. So, please refer to newspapers today. We have published a schedule of public participation. Universities will just be part of that process, and there is a process that is already in that bill. Get a copy of that bill, because we are not going to have a process for privatizing. For example, we are privatizing hotels owned by the Kenya Development Corporation, which is in my ministry, like Hilton and Intercon and all that. The universities will not be any different. Once we float these assets for privatization, once we float these assets for privatization, the universities will just be one of them in the normal process.
So there's no particular university?
There's no particular universities, but we have got many interested universities who want to partner with us as investors in our universities. Yes.
My name is Brian George from from NTV. Sorry.
Brother, you're very influential.
Just because I'm 6 months from KTR.
Oh, very good.
I have focused particularly on the draft privatization bill.
Yeah.
One, the draft is proposing the formation of privatization authority. How different will it be from the commission, and what roles will be different, and then also what then becomes the role of the commission once that has been, if the bill sees light of day, of course through legislative action and the like. Question number 2, the president talked of privatizing about 5 entities this year, state-owned enterprises particularly. What is the progress with that? I understand that Trade Bank is among some of those that are going to be privatized. Number 3, listing in the growth enterprise market, because we are seeing some of these SOEs are not as profitable as others. If you compare them with the others that are performing well, let's say like ChemGen and so many others, some of the SOEs barely break even through the year. So are you going to list or based on growth enterprise market, or you're going with IPO?
Okay.
Because IPO is for raising capital. GEMS, the growth enterprise market, is for, of course, monitoring performance, and then finally getting now to list as IPO. Then finally, we understand that there's about 16 processes to be crossed on the privatization. Is the bill also proposing an easing of those, what I would call unnecessary bureaucracy? Because honestly, 16 of them, the government can't be its own hindrance in trying to privatize otherwise state-owned enterprises. Those are my questions, sir.
Thank you. Let me start with the issue of the bill and the authority. I think one of the problems we've been having and not having a privatization since 2008, since KenGen 2, is because of the commission as structured. So we feel that CS for National Treasury will have a better control of that process when it's an authority. And what will happen to the commission, it will become functus officio, or it will be absorbed into the authority. And tied to that is your 16 steps. You are very right, you are spot on, and that is exactly what the bill is doing. It is making it very much easier for us to restart our privatization process. It's actually going to be 1, 2, 3 steps. So the authority is going to absorb most of those functions, and we are going to, the parliament will have its role during oversight. What we are trying to do also is saying, the problem with the Privatization Act as it exists now is that the parliament is part of the transaction.
Legislative action has to go to
Yes, as opposed to being part of the oversight. So now they are already conflicted, because now the parliament approves each transaction. And then, so if it is done wrongly, we'll just tell them, but see, you are part of that process. So they are already conflicted, and that's what we are trying to cure through this privatization bill that we have in Parliament, and which we hope is going to open a floodgate of the growth of our capital markets. Let me turn to the issue of privatization. First of all, let me just correct you. Credit Bank is a fully private bank, but what we are doing is we are also encouraging the private sector to match us in terms of privatization. We are going to carry through the transaction which the president promised, but we want to have a one-to-one contribution from private sector. So every company I put up there in the stock market, I want the private sector to also put their companies out there. And in terms of your transactions, yes, you can expect that before even the end of this financial year, before June, I am pretty certain I'll have put at least 3. We have got 2 sets of government SOEs, or state-owned enterprises. The ones which are driven by Treasury, and that is what now comes under the Commission or the authority, and the ones driven by my ministry under the Kenya Development Corporation, which is really going to be transformed into our sovereign wealth fund. So let me speak for, first of all, the Kenya Development Corporation, is that I have made it clear to our partners that the preferred route to divesting from Kenya Development Corporation is through the Nairobi Securities Exchange. And it need not be an IPO, and it need not be GEMS, because GEMS is really for the low and mid-cap companies. Some of the entities where we are invested in are high, they're high capitalization companies. And I think this, for me, is a low-hanging fruit. I don't want to surprise my partners by dropping names here, but you can expect some big names which you don't even know that they are partly owned by this ministry. And we are going to, I can say without any fear of contradiction, KDC owns 20% of Isuzu. I have already told Isuzu that we want to give this 20% to Kenyans. Yeah? Coca-Cola, the bottlers, we are already in talks about how to, float that our equity there, and many more. So you'll see a lot, and let me not preempt, because I've got some discussion happening next week in cabinet to be able to unlock even the others where, because I'm still operating under the old regime of the Privatization Act. So I still have to go to cabinet, I have to go to parliament, I have to go to public participation in all these things. And since I'm doing that next week, let's not preempt, but within the next, by the time you come for the Biashara Monthly in February, you can ask me that question again. It will be more clear.
If the bill goes to
yes.
the commission, now that we have an authority,
I have told you it will die.
okay, good.
It will die. It will be functioned as official, and it will be absorbed into the authority.
Okay, so the authority will also act as a regulatory body.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
Buenos dias, good morning. My name is Martin Newton from the Star. Just I wanted to get your point of view on the export and investment promotion levy. How do you plan to navigate, since it might be observed as Kenya playing protectionism, especially for its industries, and it's a subject that we recently saw what the UK was talking about when the region adopted the 35% maximum on CETs. How do you plan to navigate this so that you not in any seem to be breaching any bilateral trade ties? And apart from steel, which other products are you targeting?
That's a good question, and I'm happy we are talking about that now. First of all, I am going to exempt the EAC from this levy, because we are already working together. President Museveni is very supportive in terms of protecting our industry. President Suluhu, and indeed all the other presidents of East Africa are very, we are aligned as a region. Yeah, and that's why we are going for a levy as opposed to the duty, so that it does not affect our EAC. Second thing, my industry continues to be hammered by other commercial partners. The other day I was told by Indonesians that how come you are buying edibles from Indonesia through Egypt instead of buying directly? So clearly Egypt is misusing our relationship within COMESA. So they take edibles from Indonesia, they bring it completely duty-free, and they cite COMESA and other countries. So my first responsibility is to protect Kenyan jobs and Kenyan businesses. And I think this is legitimate, and I think it is only fair that I do what is in the interest of the Kenyan economy. I have got many parts of my job description. Does not include protecting Egyptian business.
On school uniform.
Sorry, 1 minute. Let me just answer your second question. Steel industry,
Other products.
paper.
Apart from tobacco.
Yes, I'm on that. Steel industry, paper, and furniture are right now on my radar. I moved to other sectors like pharmaceuticals and all that. Once I have to get convinced, and I convince the country that we have capacity. And what I did, let me just give you an example of steel. When we were in Kwale, I said, we are now in the beginning of December. I've given you until end of December to come up with a single complaint that DEFCI and the other people who are supplying steel cannot refuse to supply you or supply this substandard steel. My inbox is empty. I have no single complaint. I have even extended now, we are going to a second month, no single complaint. What does that mean? That you have capacity. Similar thing I would do to brown paper. And by the way, I had a meeting here with paper people. And I told them in March, I'm also putting a levy on brown paper, the same levy. Give me a complaint that the existing capacity is not supplying you. So the same thing I will do. Once I'm convinced that I have got capacity for toothpick, I will do the same. And I will still give you, even you as a consumer, to give me the complaint that, oh, I tried to get toothpick locally, I could not get. So I'm not being draconian. I'm only saying I am following a due process and I'm being very transparent. Because I'll put it out there, if I am going to put this levy on this product. If you have got any problem with the people who are manufacturing it now, speak now or keep your peace forever. Sorry.
Was it one place from Business Daily?
Yes, but you know.
On the school uniform, are you maybe just to pronounce yourself a bit more on this matter? Is the ministry, or rather, is the state banning the sale of school uniforms
By the schools.
in schools?
Yes.
Is that what you're saying?
Yes, that's what there is a circular, please. From here, go to the Ministry of Education, and I'm going to my office, is going to make available that circular. Schools are not business people to sell uniforms. And if they are doing it illegally.
What happens to schools that are still doing this as we speak?
By the way, I'm sending out a team. We have got people called trade officers who I have in all counties. They are going to go school by school, mulika mwalimu.
As long as the school has opened, now it's too late in the pronouncement. Can they ask for
Sasa kwa nini unawatetea, my friend? Have they complained they will not comply? We have to get serious, Felix. You cannot do these games anymore. Yani mwalimu anashikwa na some big people out there, commission sijui nini. Hapana mchezo. Wacha waende. By the way, in America there is no uniform. In Scandinavia there is no school uniform. The school uniform inakuja wapi mambo ya kusoma na CBC? This is not a necessity. I'm going to even ask for that grace period is to ask for Machogu. I'm going to put a case. The grace period that I will give is only to allow children to go without uniform to school if they cannot get it.
Will this be subject to both public and private schools?
Well, I have no. Let me not answer that question because I'm not the policy maker for schools. Let me just speak about public schools because those ones we share with Machogu. Private school is the business of Machogu. I don't know the policy right there.
All right, CS. Yeah.
Yes.
Yes, Jimmy Mbogo from KTN. Now, on the business aspect of it, what is currently your ministry doing to be able to sort of make sure that we attract more investors at the NSE? Again, this is a government that is pro-market. So what, and also maybe if you can give us numbers in terms of how much you intend to raise in terms of foreign investment by the end of the year. And also on the import aspect and these levies that are going to be put on import, what are you doing to push on those Kenyans who are in the import markets?
One, on the growth of the NSE, I think let's focus on privatization. I am an old timer of NSE, and having more counters there is going to automatically attract investors. And you know, we also, as you know, in December we were in the US, and we rang the bell at the NYSE, New York Stock Exchange, which was a very major milestone for this country. We are working with the NYSC to have another investor roadshow sometimes in May. We are having our own KICO, the Kenya International Investment Conference, in June. And we think all those signaling are going to automatically lead to the growth of investment at the NSC. And on the issue of FDI, of the foreign direct investment, I really put a target, but today our foreign investment is $500 million, surely. It is pitiable. It is pitiable. But we are pushing some of the transactions which might be announced as early as this week. One of the transactions which we are pushing for could just one transaction would just double our foreign investment, just one transaction. But just for the bio figures, I expect to raise $10 billion by end of this calendar year 2023. I have got already those deals in the pipeline. I am not residing here, I'm residing out there trying to talk to these people. And this is my target, but I highly suspect that I will even surpass that target because there's a lot of interest in Kenya from our special economic zones like Dongo Kundu, like Naivasha. By end of this month, that is by next week, we are putting advertisement for our available spaces within our special economic zone. And from next week, you start seeing an avalanche of investors coming to Dongo Kundu, coming to Naivasha, coming to Akenani Leather Park, coming to Aramu Special Economic Zone, and indeed all the other economic zones. And now, if you add the conference we have in June for the Kenya International Investment Conference, if you add to privatizations, the 3-4 transactions I want to bring to the market from Kenya Development Corporation, the passage of the privatization bill, and the transactions that will come on stream from that process, indeed, we are on the move.
There's also the question of cushioning Kenyan investors who are in the import business.
I don't want to cushion them. I want them to buy locally.
Okay.
The only thing they can tell me is that we can't buy locally, or it is not making sense to buy locally. Yeah, you cannot tell me that it makes more sense to get steel all the way from China to Kenya. And I'm not doing this in a whimsical manner. We have got researchers who are telling us these capacities now existing.
Well, I see just a follow-up question on education. So we know so many universities have debt, they're not paying their lecturers. Case in point is the Egerton University. Now that the government is planning to bring in investors to invest in the institutions of higher education, will you write off the debt before the investors come in, or will the investor?
Well,
or will the investor write it off? And finally, how many investors so far have agreed to work with Kenya in terms of privatizing these universities? And if you're in a position to mention, kindly mention them.
Well, I may not mention them because of confidentiality. But I want to tell you that we do not have any university in Kenya that is insolvent, in a sense that they are cash poor but asset rich. I don't want you to challenge by sending in a valuer to Egerton, ask them to value Egerton and tell me Egerton has debt. Whatever you are calling debt is a drop in the ocean. These are very rich institutions. My friend, if I give you Egerton, it belongs to you, Brenda, now. You have debt. You as a person, Nizawati nimekupatia birthday gift. Yeah? You tell me a whole Egerton with I don't know how many acres of land, I don't know how many cows, and they are still in debt. We don't have a cash problem, we have a management problem. And we have got a structural problem and they have reached the end of their thinking capacity. So what we are going to do now is to bring in people to infuse new thinking, new ways of doing things, new management, so that you can be able to convert from asset rich into cash rich, and then we solve all these problems.
All right, yes, last question for me, just in regard to what Brenda was asking. In terms of the privatization of some of these universities, how much is the government going to save in terms of the spending after this privatization takes off? I
may not have the figures, but we are going to have a position paper on our privatization of our institutions of higher learning. So we will share with you, hopefully by the time we have the Biashara Mantri in February.
Waziri, one question from me. My name is Faisal from Citizen. Last week, the Prime Cabinet Secretary talked state-owned enterprises and a huge number of them are
I'm saying, and we're saying as a government, and what the Prime Cabinet Secretary said is spot on. Either we can sell it or we close it. Ng'ombe ni either itoe maziwa ama ichinjwe.
Waziri, just a follow-up. Where last week, I saw somewhere you picked a conversation with the EU, ironing out some of the questions being raised on Kenya benefiting from papers and probably them also wanting to penetrate the market. Maybe where are we with ironing some of these issues? And when should we expect physical meetings with TAI maybe to begin for the US Kenya trade? And then lastly, you were recently in UAE, Saudi Arabia, and one of the key investors that you met are guys from DP World. Are we likely to see
efforts that we are making? We have got on the line trade negotiations with the European Union, supposed to start anytime now. We have got our strategic trade and investment partnership with the US. 6th of February, our team will be there in the US to start the negotiation. We have got our comprehensive economic partnership agreement with the United Arab Emirates. We've given ourselves until 31st of March to be able to sign that agreement, and we have got also South Korea. As you know, we were there in the month of November with the president, and we kicked off the process of a bilateral agreement which is going. And just last week we agreed with Indonesia that we are kicking off an agreement, and that is on top of what we are doing in terms of renewal of AGOA, in terms of especially a very important piece of work we are doing, what we call the tripartite free trade agreement, that is combining SADC, East African Community of shuttle diplomacy. You'll be seeing that in the coming few days, to be able to convince our partners that before even we talk about Africa Continental Free Trade Area, we need to combine ourselves as Southeast Central Africa bloc. Last week, chairman of the AU Council, Musa Faki, and myself, we addressed you at Radisson, and we reiterated the importance of having a gradual approach to ACFTA and using East, West, South, East, Central, South as one block, 28 countries, 750 million people, and combine that with the ECOWAS-led sort of coalition or grouping from that other end. And when we have got one on this side or one on that side, 550 million from that side, 750 million on this side, then we are 1.3 billion market which everybody is salivating over. So that is what we are doing in terms of trade agreement. In terms of the ports issue, I'm surprised that you only picked Dubai Port World, because I think I had meetings which were made public by 4 port operators from that particular region. So Dubai Port is one of them. We have Abu Dhabi Port, you're talking to them. We have Red Sea Gates. We have got the Qatar Port Authority. We are talking to people because we need massive investment in our ports. And concessioning of ports is very important. However, and I've made it clearly to all the places that I'm visiting and all the people I'm talking to, we don't need just to give you Port of Mombasa because it is good and everybody wants Port of Mombasa. We are combining the issue of our ports with our special economic zone and other infrastructure related. So it's not just somebody coming and picking the soft meat called Mombasa. Mombasa now, as it exists, has got only capacity for 2 berths. But if you go to Dongokundu, where we are doing the special economic zone, you can build 7 more berths, including one which we are doing right now with the help of the Japanese government as part of Dongokundu special economic zone. You go to Lamu Port, and it's good because we invested 3 berths, which were done by the government of Kenya. In my opinion, I was not in that mix of things, but even 3 was an overkill. 1 was enough just to show the proof of concept. Lamu has got capacity to build 29 extra berths from the 3 that have been built. So the coastline of Mombasa and Lamu and even the Kilifi side is actually a haven for, port development. Is a very important strategic way, not just because of port and bringing in cargo here, but spurring industrialization and economic growth. And you can expect that we'll be talking to our partners. Dubai Port, it's about the value proposition. So we are out there. We are looking for the best deal. What is going to help me to grow jobs? What is going to help me grow manufacturing? What is going to help me become a transshipment and a free port hub for this region, so that people don't keep on going to Dubai and other places. Thank you.
Okay. 2 questions from Herald from People Daily. One, I just wanted to know what's considering the export level, what rate are you eyeing? If you just give an estimate. Then the other question, the renewal of AGOA, what's Kenya's position on how the renewal should be done? Are you favoring a individual bilateral trade deal with the US, or you want a unilateral trade deal through the lobby of economic blocs?
Okay, let me start with the issue of the levy. As you know, we are dealing with the entrenched people who have been having it easy. So I know they'll fight back, but on the steel, at least I'm clear that both wire rods and billets, that I'm putting a levy of $250 per metric ton. I will not give you a percentage. I think you can do some research. And the second question was, sorry.
How do you want to approach the AGOA?
Oh, the AGOA, very good question. On AGOA, and we're going to have, I think in March or April, the AGOA Trade Ministers meeting in South Africa. We have agreed that we want renewal to happen in 2023, because the problem of, I know it's expiring in 2025, but the problem with the prolonged delay in extension of AGOA is putting us into jeopardy because of investor uncertainty. We are already facing that problem. Investors are saying, yes, you want to put my millions of dollars into textile, into the other products, but how sure are you that AGOA will be extended? That's why we are all combined under the leadership of my colleague Ibrahim Patel from South Africa, my counterpart, who is going to be hosting us in March or April, to see how we can be able to work with the U.S. Congress to ensure that we get an early renewal. Now, the strategic trade and investment partnership that we are negotiating with the U.S. does not affect AGOA in any way. So that is not mutually exclusive. It is not this or that. We are doing it because the partnership we are discussing with the U.S. has got other benefits which are of mutual interest. The issues of gender, the issues of digital economy, digital trade, environment protection and climate change, sustainability. So we have got other topics there which are not in AGOA and which we feel we are doing it for completely different reasons. Market access is only but a small part of that discussion. We have got other ways whereby even investment promotion between Kenya and the US in that particular strategic trade and investment partnership has got nothing to do with AGOA, and these are not mutually exclusive.
Well, just clarification. Do you prefer the bilateral way or unilateral trade?
For AGOA, it is bilateral. Everybody, we are there together. But what I'm insisting is that bilateral does not remove what we are doing with the US for our strategic trade and investment partnership. Asante sana. See you in February. We'll make it this month.
Comment. We're happy with the coffee reforms that are happening. We're going to be taken to Deputy President's docket as it is right now.
Been taken from where? That is the work of the Deputy President.
Oh, no, being taken to that docket.
Very good.
Yeah. Yeah, so I think it's a step in the right direction. We're really positive about the possible outcomes. If those proposals and recommendations can actually be followed to the latter, then something good can come out of it, particularly on the returns and sustainability of it in the long run.
Please add the issue of markets, because once we do the export warehouses, the product number one in those warehouses will be coffee. So somebody now in New York can simply walk into Kenya warehouse, which is going to be run by our Kenya National Trading Corporation, and order for tea from there. or even use e-commerce to order for tea or coffee or whatever it is. So on top of what the Deputy President will be doing, he's going to fix the issues that are frustrating the local person from accessing, the benefits of this product. And now, once I start from that other side and I open market, then our people will be in a good place.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Are you concerned about the issue on FX, say a country like Pakistan, its impact on Kenyan exports?
When what happens?
Your country is struggling with forex exchange reserves.
Oh, well, we're already having that problem. It's not anticipating. It is not a secret that already Egypt, our people who import Kenyan tea from Egypt are suffering from the issue of foreign exchange. That is why from Africa, it is good to have all those other countries, but we really I am moving very quickly to ensure that, one, we open our markets for coffee and tea within Africa, the 1.3 billion people, so that we can be able to mitigate those other external shocks, and two, to encourage African countries to use, to continue allowing us to trade with our own currencies, so that we reduce the dependence on foreign hard currencies. And I think I pronounced myself on that when we met the AU team last week. Okay.
Thank you.
That's enough.
Thank you so much for coming. We really appreciate. Join us for a cup of tea upstairs on 9th floor.